Hello, and today in this video I'm going to be looking at the thermal detection capabilities of two very similar looking battery chargers. The charger on the left, the Technoline BL700, and the charger on the right, the Youshiko YC4000. Now, I've recently been using both of these chargers, and I've noticed on several occasions that the batteries can get quite warm in the Youshiko when being charged at higher charge current settings. And I've also noticed that when the batteries are getting warm, the readings are not quite what are expected. And the more I look into it, I can see that there's a direct relationship between temperature and the overall charging process. So what I started looking at was, or reading, was the overheat protection in the chargers. And what I did, and what I'm going to do now in this video, because I've done it several times now, it's very easy to repeat, is I'm going to set some batteries into charge mode, just on a low charge current setting. You'll see what this little yellow square is for in a minute. Okay, I'm going to just set them into charge mode. Go on a low setting, 200 milliamps. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a heat gun. Okay, heat gun, it's just a glorified hairdryer really. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to warm these batteries up and actually see what happens. Now what I'm going to do, I'm also going to be using a thermal thermometer, or a laser thermometer. Okay, so at the moment the battery is 28 degrees, 29 degrees, pretty much ambient temperature as a table, 23 degrees. It's a reasonably warm day today, so that's pretty much at room temperature. What I'm going to do with this heat gun is I'm actually going to start heating up the batteries. Now what I'm interested in is at what point the charger stops charging, because the thermal detection should detect when the batteries are getting warm and end the process. Now that's an important safety feature. If something's going wrong with the charge process and the batteries keep receiving charge, the batteries will get warmer, and the warmer they get, that could become a problem. Okay, so you can see things are starting to warm up slightly around the 50 degree mark. If you look on the screen on the charge, you'll see that charge rate is just around the 200 mark, just above or below. I'm going to keep this moving because it's actually quite hot and I don't want to actually burn the batteries. Hopefully we'll get there quite quickly. Just approaching the 50 degree mark. Now what I'm hoping to see is that the charge current will just drop down in the batteries and getting warm. I want to see the thermal detection kicking in. Okay, so it's going to take a few minutes. Hopefully we'll start to see something. Okay, so around the 50s. It's dropped down. You can see that on the screen they've all gone to zero milliamps. Okay, now if I look at the batteries, 61 degrees, 62, 63, all just over the 60 degree mark. Just kicked in just as you'd expect. Now this charger is not going to, it's not going to start again now. It's not going to start charging again now until these batteries cool down, but that batteries are all about the 60 degree mark, and they're warm to the touch. They're warm, not necessarily hot, but they're certainly warm to the touch. And you can see they're all just about the 60 degrees. Now nothing's going to happen now until this charger detects that the batteries have cooled right down. Okay, there's no heat on there now. Let me just turn that off. There's no heat on there now, but the batteries are still warm. They will retain their warmth for quite some time, obviously, because they're metal casing and battery, so they will be slowly cooling down. But you can clearly see that each channel has dropped down to 0 degrees. It's exactly what we'd expect to see. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these batteries out. These are the same batteries because they're going to be quite warm already. I can go to the Youshiko. It's just on this little yellow square of glass here. just to save the table from potentially getting burnt. Okay, now then, these batteries are still around the 50-degree mark, but that's fine. That's under the detection temperature. Reading in the Youshiko manual, it says when overheating occurs, either battery's temperature over 55 degrees, the charging or discharging process will be paused immediately, and the charging or discharging current display will show 000 milliamps. Okay. This feature is extremely important in protecting the batteries or charger itself from overheating. Well, absolutely, of course it is. Right, so let's now do the same process again here. This time it's with the Youshiko. You can see on the screen we're still charging at 200 milliamps. Okay, the batteries are still around the 50-degree mark, nothing. So I was quite interested to see at what point the thermal detection kicked in, because on some occasions the batteries are actually quite warm. Let's see where we're at. 65 degrees, 68 degrees, 66, all above the 60, but let's give it a little chance, just because the batteries were slightly warm to start with, which if anything should make the detection quicker, but let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so I'll go on the table. See the table, it's 25 degrees, so that's still the ambient temperature, okay? But on the batteries, like 72, 69, 67, 65, still charging. The case of the charger is also warm, 70 degrees around the top. Still no sign of the thermal detection kicking in at 55 degrees. Now these batteries are starting to actually get quite warm, and there's a slight smell of burning, but it might just be the, not burning, but it might just be the plastic on the batteries. 90 degrees, that is 83, 86, 96, yeah, and I can smell burning. Okay, right, let me turn this off. Still charging. There's absolutely no indication that it's going to stop. 73 degrees, 75, 76, so it's been way over, 81, and way over the temperature for quite some time. Let's go a little bit more. I don't actually want to melt the charger because it's actually very warm. Okay, what have we got? 86, 80, it's well up in the 80s. Still no sign of it kicking in. I don't know if I want to go much further because I think I'm going to start melting the actual case, but okay, let's turn it off. Okay, 90, 93, 91, you know, it's approaching, well, it keeps going if we keep going. Now, that just tells me that the thermal detection is not working, which is, you know, which is quite worrying. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these batteries out, just as a matter of interest, to see how hot, to see what happens if we put them into the Technoline. So these are quite hot, so I've got to move quite quickly. Right, let's just give that a moment, because that heat has got to go to the sensor. So let's just see if it will detect that, and how long it might take to do so. The batteries have still got some latent heat, 67 degrees, 70. It's done it already, look. It's just dropped straight down. The temperature is transferred from the sensors, from the battery, sorry, to the temperature sensors. It's just dropped immediately to 00. So the Technoline BL700 is, you know, it's spot on when it comes to thermal detection. The Youshiko is quite worryingly appears to be absent, and especially as in the Youshiko manual, it states that this feature is extremely important in protecting the batteries or charger itself from overheating. Okay, so there we have it, another clear head-to-head between the Technoline BL700 and the Youshiko YC4000. As it's becoming apparent, the Youshiko is just a cheap copy of the Technoline, although cosmetically looks similar. The functionality, the screen, when it comes to under the bonnet, the performance simply is no contest, and it's the Technoline BL700 which is certainly outperforming in terms of sophistication the Youshiko copy. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the video.